Hello, subscribers! Welcome to part 13 in my ongoing series reviewing In the Beginning. Episode 14 begins with this claim that Israel had some sort of reverence for Joseph.
Upon leaving Egypt, Moses ordered the people to bring the remains of Jacob's son Joseph with them. Joseph, who had lived 400 years before this, had become a symbol for the Hebrew people. When he was still a young boy, he was sold to a merchant as a slave by his scheming brothers. Later, he overcame this misfortune and rose to the high position as a minister of the Pharaoh.
Nowhere in the text do we get the implication that Joseph had become a symbol to Israel. They carried his bones out of Egypt as per his request, but that doesn't mean they idolized him in any sort of way. Also, the way this scene is shot, it makes it look like this is Moses, but he's clearly not. And I don't know why they chose a character who could have been confused with Moses. They could have easily chosen somebody younger without a beard, with a less distinct face. We never see this guy again. Why is he so distinctive? Next, we seem to get some bad directions from Moses.
Moses, why have you brought us to a place like this? Why do you not take the path along the seacoast to the east that Joseph, Abraham, and Jacob followed? Isn't that the path the Lord has shown us?
We will make our way to the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea. Then we will proceed along the path through the desert.
What?
Otherwise, we will be forced to fight against the Philistine spears, and the Pharaoh's chariots are gaining behind us.
But the Pharaoh said we could leave, and we can easily fight off the Philistines.
You do not know the Pharaoh. He is like a snake. He never gives up.
Then what should we do if the Pharaoh comes after us?
Do not worry. The Lord Almighty will fight for us.
What? You have not yet found the Hebrews? They cannot be found on the eastward path along the seacoast. It is impossible for 600,000 people to disappear. Send out more scouts. We must find the Hebrews.
It's just the Red Sea, not the Sea of Reeds or the Reed Sea. They crossed the Red Sea. And I'm not gonna get into a lot of detail about why that is, because the anime getting the name wrong doesn't affect the story much. Like, they're not trying to give some sort of naturalistic explanation about how they crossed the Red Sea, as the people who call it the Reed Sea are doing when they do that. And it's funny, that guy was talking to Moses saying, isn't that the way the Lord is showing us to go, when they're literally following the cloud as he speaks. All Moses had to say was, what are you talking about? The Lord's right there showing that's nowhere near where you're saying we should go. Just follow the cloud. And the numbers those soldiers gave, 600,000. That is too low. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot. That were men, beside children. So the 600,000 only refers to the men, not the women or the children. There were roughly 2 million Israelites, not 600,000. But at least I can say about this episode that it has the best animation out of every episode in this series. They actually did a lot with reflections in this episode. So the animation in this episode is just top tier. Sticking to the text, unfortunately, not so much. For instance, the anime has them crossing a swamp in order to get to the Red Sea. And it puts in some fluff about the Israelites capturing an Egyptian spies, or scouts, capturing Egyptian scouts.
So, the Egyptians are right behind us.
But where can we go? The swamps and marshland are blocking our escape route.
Be calm, Aaron. There's no need for us to run. We will camp right here. I know that God will watch over us through the night.
Now, I'm too lazy to double check this, but I'm pretty confident they did not camp for the night. But anyway, then they crossed the Red Sea and were treated to a song. I wish I could understand any of the lyrics to that song. The only words I could consistently hear were "to the sacred promised land," because I would have loved to see how close that song was to the actual song that they sang. But I know the sacred promised land is not any lyrics in that song, so it probably didn't match up. Would have been cool if it did, though. And the last thing to complain about in this episode is Israel complaining about lack of food.
Moses, you must speak to the Lord and tell him.
The great Lord only speaks to me when he wishes.
Very well, then. O Lord, pray save us if you know where we are going from here.
Yesterday, my mother died of hunger. Today, I had to leave my brother to the vultures. If you do not bring food and water, the one who will die tomorrow will be you. We will leave you to the vultures, and all of us will return to Egypt.
Nobody starved to death. That is just not something that happened. For an anime that usually treats God with a proper amount of reverence, it sure does drop the ball in that area by showing God as someone who is willing to let a few people starve to death before he decides to feed them. No, that is not what happened. They also kind of shortcut the quails, but whatever. It is what it is. And now there is just one episode left in this series. So join me next time as we go over the story of how they get the 10 Commandments. It's actually kind of an anticlimactic ending to this series, but I will also do an overview of the whole series at the end of it. See you then.